Hello, my name is Matthew Miller Novak. I'm one of the founders of Change NCH. I'm its deputy treasurer, and currently I'm their endorsed candidate for president of City Council of North College Hill. My group has elected me to speak to you in these last few days before the election on November 3rd. I'd like to talk to you today about communication and transparency. What does transparency mean? Transparency is your government's openness with the people, allowing them to be part of the process, allowing them to see what decisions are being made, why they're being made, before they're made, not after they're made. Let's go back a few years to the tax credit we all used to enjoy. It used to be that you got a 0.5% tax credit if you paid an income tax in other municipalities. Several years ago, the administration and the council, at the will of the administration, voted to take away your tax credit. What this did was strap all of our citizens with hundreds of dollars a year in extra income tax owed to the city of North College Hill. We don't know why they did this. Maybe it was entirely essential. Maybe the city was in such financial need at the time that it absolutely had to be done. We're not going to build a time machine and go back and argue with their decision. But what we would like to point out is the fact is that no one really knew about this decision until after it was made. I've been going door to door, and so have the rest of our candidates. Been going door to door in all the quadrants of the city, and we keep hearing the same thing. Nobody knew about this tax credit being taken away until after the decision was already made. Some people didn't know until they filed their taxes and prepared their taxes to be filed and paid. We believe with all the information technology that was available then as well as available now, there is absolutely no excuse for these types of things that happen and for people to have to deal with these decisions after they're made and not be allowed to be part of the process and decision making which takes place up at City Hall. See, that is the kind of change that Change NCH really wants to bring to the people of North College Hill. We already have a website. We have a blog. We have a forum. We have an email server. We're going to make absolute sure that you know about everything that is being discussed at City Hall before the decision is finalized. You see, we all know that CNN does not cover North College Hill city politics. That mass media does not come to our council meetings in a city of this relative small size. So consequently, our government is working in isolation. But what we think is that you can either work in that isolation or you can work out of it. And that is what we are going to do. We are going to work City Council and the administration out of the isolation of which they exist now. No longer will decisions that affect well over 10,000 people be made in front of only 10 people. In order for transparency to exist, communication is a must. Openness is a must. Let's look at the current means of communication. Currently, the only communication that exists with our citizens from the government is the mayor's newsletter. The problems with this is it only comes out every few months, and the only thing it actually communicates is the things that have already been decided, is in communicating anything that's being discussed. It doesn't make you aware of what is happening in the city. It is just several points that are put forth by one individual, the mayor. And the problem with that is it becomes basically the mayor's chance to tell the people what the mayor chooses to tell the people, but we all know that there's many other things to be learned. There's many other truths in the city that one individual isn't necessarily going to have the ability to completely put out there in one document. If you have a constantly running website with information that you can go to anytime you wish, or emails that come out to you that show everything that's being discussed at City Council, everything that everybody says, then people are going to know what's going on in the city. People are going to know what's happening before it happens, not after it happens, as communicated in the mayor's newsletter. Let's take a good look at the mayor's most recent newsletter. Some of the things he put in there are certainly true. We have a great new restaurant named Van Zant's on Galbraith Road, which I've already eaten at twice. The food is extremely tasty, and the atmosphere is gorgeous, and the service is fantastic. And it's a great thing for our city, and hopefully it develops into more restaurants coming. And certainly it is worth mentioning as a great success. And the other thing the mayor mentions is the new Walgreens. Well, I suppose it is great to have a nice big new Walgreens, but the problem is, and what the mayor isn't telling you, is that there's now an empty building that's left in its wake. It's going to be another empty storefront in North College Hill. It's going to be extremely hard to fill, because what other establishment could really house a building of that stature? He's also not mentioning the fact of how many businesses we've lost, which is actually over a couple dozen within the last few years. There's many storefronts that are empty, and very few that are being filled. We need to work harder. We need to have communication that lets people know what is wrong in the city, so we can work together as a community to make it better. It's great to point out the few successes we've had, but it's also very dangerous to ignore some of the problems that we have, such as public safety. We do know that there is only 2 officers on the road at any given time right now, and I don't know if the suggestion is we had no officers on the road at any given time in 2000. We at Change NCH are not entirely sure where the mayor's figure comes from, that we have 2 more officers on the road. I don't know if he's referring to part-time officers, because what we do know is that there's only 2 officers that are on our road at any given time. And sometimes one of those officers might be subpoenaed downtown. There might only be 1 police officer from North College Hill on the road, and there are some times that there is not 1 NCH police officer on the street in the year 2009. The mayor's newsletter also suggests that there have been no layoffs. That is 100% true. As far as we know, there has not been 1 layoff in the city of North College Hill, and for that we applaud the government. But the problem is they also are not replacing people that retire. In winter, one of our greatest police officers retired, and to the best of our knowledge, and everybody else's knowledge, he has not been replaced with another full-time officer yet. Also, the Fabulous 5, there's our Public Works Department, as the mayor refers to them, used to be the Super 6 not all that long ago. So someone's retired from Public Works and not been replaced. So basically, while they are not making any layoffs, they are also not replacing people that have retired. And the problem is it's not entirely different. Either way, you're getting less service and protection for your tax dollars that have increased several years ago. The mayor's newsletter also mentions that we have all these certified paramedics in the city of North College Hill, but the problem is that doesn't really mean anything if you don't have an actual paramedic unit. So while we do have individuals that are certified paramedics, they are not able to function as paramedics if the city does not have a paramedic unit. So please, folks, don't be fooled into thinking that we have a paramedic unit in North College Hill, because we most certainly do not. And the real problem with that is, in a real life and death situation, seconds can mean the difference between life and death. And a paramedic unit working on keeping you alive before you even get to the hospital could be that difference of seconds. It's very important that this city has a paramedic unit. Not just paramedics that are certified, but an actual functioning paramedic unit. And that is what we'd like to provide. But most importantly, we're going to provide openness and transparency. Because, folks, the government needs to represent the will of the people, not a will of their own. And the only way they can be sure that they're representing the will of the people is for them to be completely open to the people and allow the people to be part of the discussion before decisions are made, not just after. We thank you very much, and we really hope that you vote for Change NCH this November 3rd. Matthew Miller Novak for President of City Council, and my friends Pat Hartzell, Renee Stiles, Mike Post, and Lisa Curtis for City Council. Thank you very much for your time and your willingness to watch this speech.